Murphy, who is a youth mentor, a person who has been concerned for the last half century with our young people. And of course, he was talking about his own personal experiences dealing with that. Of course, let's continue that conversation that we had before we interrupted that first segment, Reverend Murphy.
Oh, well, Doctor, I think that if we, as a community, try to have a big influence, just in this area here near, I see they have soccer teams and there's big sports jamborees where kids can get involved in something that is structured that will help mold them physically and enhance their mental and spiritual outlook on life, to where they have a positive outlook about what's going on in the world. Because they watch adults and they'll mimic us.
All right.
I was trying to speak earlier on, talking to my daughter about my grandson, and wanting him to start the little small child pee-wee football. Well, that doesn't sit too well with the grandmother, but that may be something wholesome for him to build his little character. And as well as he and other grandchildren that I have, just being around them and sitting talking to them, reading a book. Wasn't long ago, I was at a grandparent conference at a pre-K school where he attends. And they gave us ideas what to do with the grandchildren in the summer. Take them places that just right here in town. Most of them are not expensive. You know, or walk by the river sometime and let them watch the barge go down the street. Or riding a train, getting on the Nashville Star, so to speak. That's an inexpensive way to have a train ride. Those type things enhance kids' character and give them a broader mind and take them out of the world is so small. From working with troubled kids that have been incarcerated, I found that many of them only know the world that they're around.
Okay, good.
Okay, and this is one of the reasons they mimic a lot of things that are on television. They see kids grow up, these rappers that do certain things, and I'm not here to badge the rap industry because some good things have come from that. We've had many those type of gentlemen and young ladies who have started in that realm and moved on into acting and other type careers. So we can get positive things out of a lot of those things also. But if we focus more on the home setting first, then our community values, teaching them what goes on in the government realm and how to prepare to deal with the government situations and what they should do as a good citizen. We can show them and guide them how not to get in these trouble issues of using illegal drugs, the use of alcohol. Also, I've found that there's a severe lot of depression and anxiety among them. And that comes from the way the world is as a whole, of course. There are things that cause adults to be anxious.
Very good, okay, you're right.
The gas prices, the war, and so on. But then there are other gentlemen that they can show these young men the way to go, but they run into type of trouble. We've seen that with our professional athletes.
Okay, good.
I'm not here to badger the professional athlete.
Good, I understand. Go on. But
at one time, that was an endeavor of my own until I came across this line of work because of physical conditions and so forth. But I didn't let that stop me. I remembering how much work it was in how to learn how to be fit to play basketball without even having the ball in your hand. A lot of kids don't understand that.
All right.
You can't look at these guys playing and try to mimic them to play. That behind the scenes, that they're getting their bodies and their minds fit, that there are hours of play learning in the playbook, particularly in the National Football League. And so if you're lacking in education, that is the key. You must motivate them in education, whether it's in the formal education or in the special education realm as well as vocational education. If we can push that and make them understand that this is the key for them to understand how to deal with life's issues, as well as trying to bring a spiritual connotation into their life. We have to move from the church,
All right.
waiting on the government, and also do the smaller things that we can do. You know, the church is good for having a lot of committees. We've got this ministry and that ministry, and I was talking to a gentleman that he's been a tutor at a Pacific church that I once attended for quite some time. And one of the things that impacted me, the last conversation we had, was that he likes to get the young men small, like my grandson, when they're 4 or 5 years old, where you can start molding them and working them right there. And that's how I appreciated that grandparent forum that I went to. And so we must continue on to diligently search for ways that are simple. Just getting out in the yard raking leaves. A friend of mine was just going to visit him. He had grandson and his little cousin out in the yard, showing him how to make the grass blow back over away from the neighbor's yards, you know, those type of things. Doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but it puts meaning and direction in their life.
And it gives them somebody to work with. You see, it gives them somebody, it gives them a hero.
That's right.
Somebody to emulate. You see,
right.
that's, yeah, I think that's essentially what we want, Reverend. I think the kind of information that you're giving now is an approach, and I like what you continue to say about how simple it is. You don't, it's not expensive to try to create a relationship between a grandchild or relatives and et cetera, that it can be done with no real cost. You see, the kind of things that you indicated.
That's right. That's right. Some of our kids, they haven't ridden on the city bus.
And that's and that's possible. And you mentioned about the train. I mean, that's you know, that's as a matter of fact, I was thinking about perhaps taking a ride on that train myself. And of course, Reverend, let us take this second commercial break, after which we'll come back and we'll allow you to continue this kind of informal kind of information. And I think it's very, very precious. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this short commercial break. We're talking to Reverend John